what would it mean for you, specifically to be the one to beat John here and kind of end this reign of terror he and the Death Riders have been on in AEW?
I mean, I think it would be kind of par for the course for what I do in these types of situations. So there's at times when the AEW Championship has been held hostage by various people, and I'm usually somebody to go in there and liberate it from those types of people. So yeah, this is nothing new.
I looked back and you and him had only had, I think, one singles match together all the way back in WWE. I think it was like 2017 on Raw. Are you looking forward to just seeing how Samoa Joe and obviously this version of Jon Moxley mix, especially inside of a steel cage?
Yes, I mean, John has made a very concerted effort through most of his career to avoid me. So there's no better place to corner him than a steel cage. And this version of Jon Moxley to me is just a lighter version of maybe a Jon Moxley I've seen in the past, and I think I just need to kind of show that to him in the ring.
Why did you feel like, you made this a steel cage match, that this needed to get inside of a steel cage? Is it something other than just the fact that, hey, he's been running a lot, or is there some other kind of other reason why this match needed to get in there?
No, just he runs. I mean, it's just listen. I didn't sign up for a track meet. I signed up for a wrestling match, and been chasing this guy for the past few weeks. I don't think there's any better way to handle a skittish opponent than to put him in a steel cage where it's not so easy to get away from me.
Obviously, we haven't seen Hook, on TV since the attack, but before that, you guys were doing a lot of these very fun backstage segments where you're kind of teaching him how to beat up people and how to go about it, and there's this fun banter. How did you guys kind of prepare for those? Was any of that stuff kind of off the cuff as you're doing it?
I mean, the majority of it is off the cuff. I mean, we don't kind of go into those segments with a lot of forethought. I mean, it's just a lot of legitimate kind of banter back and forth, and
Yeah.
then somewhere in there, some of it makes it to air. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun symbiosis with me and Hook, and I look forward to him being healthy and back, and us discussing the finer things in life once again.
Did considering his style and someone who, didn't get a lot of talking time on TV for a good portion of his career, did it make sense for you both on screen and maybe off to be kind of that mentor for him?
I think so. I think that every really compelling individual that you find in wrestling, you kind of discover more about them as time goes along. I felt, being able for the world to kind of see a little bit more of a Hook in his completeness would be very, very good for him. And in my opinion, I think it's done wonders.
Why was Hobbs the right replacement for him? And do you think this pairing with all you guys is something that can finally maybe really launch him? It feels like he's had a lot of starts and stops here as kind of an AEW.
And I agree with you, and I think Hobbs would agree with you, and I think that was a big reason why he stepped up. Hobbs is a person that has felt throughout his career he's kind of been in the background, and that he's never really been given an opportunity to be in the forefront. Hobbs and Hook obviously have a long history. Hook got taken out. Hobbs stepped up. I would love to say that we had a hand in his choosing, but it was more of a demand by his part, and far be it from me to get in the way of a man like that who's on a mission. So yeah, we find ourselves with Hobbs in our glorious circle of friends, and it's worked out quite well.
Do you think it can be something that can be a jumping off point for him, like when this is over to kind of get him into that singles push that maybe he didn't really have?
I think it's been said in the past, and I think it'll be said again in the future here. And I think that hopefully this will manifest that. But the ceiling's limitless for a guy like him.
Obviously, we lost Sabu yesterday.
Mhm.
I think you did have one match with him in TNA. It was like a six-sided another steel cage match. What do you remember about just the experience of working with Sabu and what obviously he meant, to the wrestling business?
I think obviously a lot of us wish that a lot of the world knew him and got to appreciate him as a regular human being, as Terry Brunk, even though nobody would ever dare call him that. But um, he was a guy who, when you talked about, had dedicated his life wholly and completely to the sport of professional wrestling. He did. I mean, without a doubt, I think probably far more than a lot of other people, and it was a lifelong dedication. I mean, it was, you've heard his story and you know how he came up and where he came from. I think you'd understand. how integral this business was to his life and how central it was. And it's bittersweet poetry that he just recently had his last match. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll all miss him, because there was another side of Sabu, that was a brother and that was a comrade and a guy you look forward to seeing in the locker room because he just was a fun dude, free spirit, a guy who lived definitely by his own rules and definitely by his own compunction.
Just what was the experience like actually wrestling him?
Wrestling him, it was chaotic and wild. I mean, he was as built. I mean, he was not a guy that was going to take a night off or take it easy. He was going to go 300 miles per hour, full force. And you better be going that fast too. Otherwise, you're liable to catch a chair in the side of the head or something worse. So, yeah, Sabu, just an incredible competitor. And I think he definitely impacted and pushed the sport in places that, I don't think anybody ever thought it would go.
What was he like? You said backstage, like this different person than we saw, in front of the camera. Is there
Uh,
something how you would describe that?
yeah, oddly enough, and you hear this a lot, in a lot of ways, polar opposite to what you saw in the ring. I mean, a very, very loyal guy, especially to his friends. A guy who, if you're having a bad day or if it's a little bit rough, he would have a word to kind of snap you out of it, especially if he liked you. And just a hilarious dude. I mean, just lived his life different than the average cat. And it was weird because you'd see him some days and he have shorts and cowboy boots on and be walking a poodle and just be like, "Hey, what's up, fellas?" Like you're like, "Wait, that's Sabu, that's crazy," But yeah, but he knew Pop the Boys, so he knew what he was doing. Like he always he had his ways, and I'm glad I got to know him in the time that I did.
Joe, always appreciate a couple of minutes. I know we're all looking forward to seeing you and John in your iterations now finally have this match.
Thank you, appreciate it.